So today I'm going to demonstrate how to do a hand-drawn hem stitch. Now this is what the hem stitch looks like once it's complete. Just right down in here. And that is the back side. And this hasn't even been ironed yet, and it lays very nicely and flat, and it's basically blind stitched. You simply cannot see where your hemming took place. And you wrapped threads as you did it, and this is all hand done, not a machine did this. So I am going to show you how to do this. And what we're going to do is we're going to check on the front side just to make sure we're happy with where our hem did. I did it on one side of the long here, so we're going to start it here on the other side, and I'm going to demonstrate how to do that. I'm going to check my hem. For my long sides of my hem here, I'm doing about 1.25 inches. You'll simply just need some straight pins and something to measure. You can either use a measuring tape. I like using a little handy ruler. Whatever works for you. And that is it. That's all you need. And then we'll also, when we start actually ironing up our hem, you'll need an iron ready to go. We're going to do a double folded hem here, meaning I'm going to fold up once and I'm going to fold it up again. It's been folded up twice, and so this is great because it gives the weight of the linen just a great draping. It gives it some weight on there, and it anchors it, especially when you do it on the short ends. It can hang over the table really nicely. So we are doing a double folded hem stitch here, and I'm just going to check again right there. Now I know, since I've marked my hem here, I know where I'm going to be drawing out my first thread. This is the scary part here, but you'll be fine. There's really nothing that can go wrong here. So we have that first little part started, and all we're going to do is we're going to pull this, and I guarantee that this is going to break. It's the first two are usually the hardest ones to get out. But if you take your time and you're really gentle and you pull the gathers toward the other end, you'll get that one piece of thread removed. And that's all we're doing, is we're removing the thread. And that is how it's going to start to look once we get about 8 of them removed. And then I'll show you guys how we actually do the hem stitch. But this is the first part. So as you can see, all I used was my straight pin to pull the thread out so I could start pulling it again because it broke. And it will probably break another time, if not a few more times, this first time that it's getting pulled out. One, because it's just so tight. But once we make some room, then the remaining threads to be pulled come out a lot easier. And we broke a little bit, but we'll probably be able to pull that out. All right, we got our first one removed. So we're going to go back. I'm going to use my straight pin to pick up my next thread that's going to come out. As you can see, I'm moving toward my work here. This will be embroidered. I have this all measured out for 1/4 inch, so I'm going to remove my threads in this direction. And we're going to remove probably about 7 or 8 threads. This one is a lot easier. It's coming out a little bit easier. You just basically move your gathers up toward this end here, and the thread's going to escape from here once we loosen it. Here we go. And it came all out in one place. And we're going to go ahead and pick up. I do it maybe about 2 inches in. It gives me a grip so I can hold on to something while I'm doing it. If you did it down here, you're simply just not going to have enough. If you did it way up here, it's going to be a lot to kind of pull out and it could break. I found about 1 inch or 2. It gives me just enough area to kind of grab onto that thread. Again, I'm working the gathers toward this opposite end here. As I pull out this thread, the fabric just naturally gathers up. until we remove it. And this one's going to come out all in one piece again. So that's about our third one there. I'm working on number 4. I'm going to draw it up, and then I'm just going to pull it all the way out. And we broke. That's because I grabbed it and I created enough tension that it didn't allow it. So I'm going to find the break here, and I can see it right here. It's right in the middle of this work right here. So I'm just going to pull it up. I didn't give myself enough room there. Probably about right there. And you can see it right here, and all we're going to do is just draw that out. There we go. I think we might be drawing out one more after this, and then I think we'll have a nice width. There we go. Let's check that. That's a good width. I think this one over here is ever so slightly a little bit bigger. Yeah, we're going to draw out just one more. They don't need to be exactly the same, but that other one is a little bit bigger, and I actually like having a bigger area removed. It looks pretty. It shows off the stitch a little bit better. So we got that all done. Now the easy part are the sides. They're so short they come out right away. Let's do it about 1.5 inches. That'll be about right there. And it'll just be maybe it'll just be a 1/4 inch bigger than what is done on the sides. Again, I know it's confusing. I'm doing this on the right side, but I'm doing that so that I can get a visual of where this is at. That's a little bit better. That gives us some room, playing room right up in there. So we don't come up too close to our poppy stitch. And then of course, so we know we're going to draw out at about right here. That's where I'm going to make my first draw. Now, I could go a little bit down or up from there, depending on what I want this to look like. There we go. I'll explain what I meant by that. So basically here, if I suddenly decided, oh, I don't want it any closer than that, I would remove my threads down. But we can still actually move more into that poppy flower and not jeopardize the look of the hem or the embroidery. So another way of doing this too is just to simply measure. You can measure, well, how far do I need to be pulling from? This is at about 5 inches. But I actually like to physically fold the fabric and look and see what the hem is going to look like. I love when that becomes, for the most part, a perfect square. We've done our job. We know we've drawn out enough, and that it's just as thick, just as wide as the one on the long side right there. Let's draw that out again. We're getting close to being a perfect square there. Probably just need one more being pulled out. How are we doing up here on this poppy? Pretty good. I think I want to draw my last one down here instead. I've gotten enough close to that poppy right there. There we go. So we've gotten that taken care of. Okay, so we have all of our thread pulled out, both on the short ends of the table scarf and on the long ends. We have it turned on the back side. This is our front side right here, just kind of showing you that. And as we discussed, we're doing about 1.25 inches right here on our long sides. And we have our ruler for checking that real quick. And what we're going to do is just go all the way down. I like to kind of finger press. Just double checking that right here. Sometimes I'll go ahead and go in with an iron just a little bit, kind of get it warm. then what we'll be doing is we'll be drawing it right up there to the hemline. We're going to get this first part done first here. Just draw it up and get it ironed in place at that 1 1/4 inch. Definitely make sure you match up that drawn hemline. I'm going to go with my second press, which is going to be right at the base of our hem, where we're going to be doing our decorative stitching. Come right up at the base right there, because we definitely don't want to cover that, because that's where we're going to have our wonderful wrapped stitches. I'm just going to take some straight pins. I like to anchor myself, I don't know, every foot or so, every 8 inches, probably every 8 inches. I don't like to use a lot of pins, because then of course when you're trying to stitch it, you know, they'll stick you. So less is more. You really don't need a lot. It's going to stay intact. I'm actually going to work from this end down. It's really critical that I make sure I get that area right there. So we're going to go ahead and get that pressed. Let's make sure we get our critical spot right there, which we did. And we'll put one more right here just for good measure. I'm going to go ahead and do the long side, and then I'll show you guys. We'll go ahead and do the short sides together before we start stitching.